I played an entire year of Stardew Valley as a fisher. Yes, you heard that correctly. I fished, and I fished a lot. I can't believe I just said that. Well, it was me in an alternate reality. Anyway, in this timeline, I was a very dedicated member of the Ferngale Republic Anti-Fishing Club, or the FRAFC for short. Fishing just sucks. Sat doing nothing, staring at that bobber, waiting for any sort of mental stimulation, until the inevitable jump scare of something grabbing onto your line. As someone with the reaction time of a sloth, who knows how many aquatic dwellers have had a free meal from the likes of me as they wiggle away mere milliseconds later. And don't even get me started on some of those species in there requiring some sort of superhuman focus to keep up with its movements. That's if you're lucky enough to find something living on the end of the line. I wasn't here for a day of trash cleanup. Very soggy, very gross, not very demure. Plus, who has time to fish when you're working for Joja Corporate anyway? The FRAFC hate everything to do with fishing, including fish themselves, even eating them. Trouble is, I'm British, and on a quiet summer evening, I just can't resist the allure of a good plate of fish and chips for dinner. I wasn't expecting to see anyone I knew here, but the founder of the FRAFC just so happened to be walking past and caught me in the act with my forbidden meal.
That smell, is that fish?
It's not what it looks like. Yes, it's fish. Okay, it's exactly what it looks like. But look, I just needed my yearly fish and chips, okay? It won't happen again.
You've been coming here yearly?
Traitor.
No fishing, no talking about fishing, no looking at fish, no eating fish, ever. You've broken our number 4 rule. As founder of the FRAFC, I banish you. We never want to see your face at the club again.
I don't need them. Screw it. You know what? I've got that farm waiting for me in Pelican Town from my grandpa. I'm finally doing it. I'm getting out of the city, and not only will I take over my grandpa's farm, I'm gonna make my entire life and personality about fishing. Just you wait. Okay, that's enough of that. Before we dive into our first day, I want to let you know that this is a modded playthrough and the list with all the links will be in the description. I really can't believe I'm doing this, but let's begin our first year on the Angler's Haven farm. New year, new me. I woke up on day 1 in my cozy new tiny house and would you look at that, that's a fish smoker. Yes, of course we're playing on the Riverland farm, and here's me having to turn back on my auto run. Thank you very much, One Life Challenge. Anyway, I don't think I've clarified what I mean by playing Stardew as a fisher. I will be doing some of the other activities the valley has to offer too, but I'm only allowed to make my money from the items I can get from fishing activities, including the extra treasure as well. I will still need to sell a few other items, but this is really for the ship 1 of everything achievement, and also anything required by special requests and key quests as well. Plus, I'm gonna need to take part in all the other skills to get all the mastery crafting recipes, but obviously the fishing mastery is what I'm setting my sights on first. I definitely want to be in that cave by the end of the first year, though I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. I just wanted to explain that I won't just be sat doing nothing but fishing for the entire year. You might also notice that there's something a little bit off about this river farm. It's been left in disrepair a little bit too long, and I'm gonna have to rebuild all the bridges myself. I got the usual 15 parsnips in the ground and set up my first usual storage chest. Even Fisher Emma still needs space for loot. Then it was out into town to begin meeting all the neighbours and pick up my first seeds. I just got one of everything for now, just in case I need them for the community centre, and after a quick hello to most of the villagers, I could head on home to plant my seeds. Ah, right. No bridge. This was actually a good thing, because I missed introductions with more people than I thought, but I didn't make it home to plant stuff till the evening when I remembered that without a scarecrow, my extra seeds were at risk of becoming a snack for the local crows. I only have one of everything else, so I only planted the carrots I dug up for now, and chopped a couple of trees to start saving up for those bridges. On day 2, I got the letter we've all been waiting for. Pelican Town's main fisherman has just returned from his trip. I've got to go and meet him, but not before watering all my crops and chopping enough wood to make a chest to bring to the beach with me. I approached this cool looking fella at the end of the pier to say hi and ask how I can get involved with the local fishing scene as a brand new budding angler. To my surprise, he responded by passing down his old rod for me to use. My very own fishing rod. And Willy also let me know that I can get more supplies from him or even sell my fish if I want. I wasn't waiting another second to try it out, and with a little tutoring, I successfully reeled in my first fish, a sardine. Better set up that chest for all the fish I'm gonna catch. I'm not very proficient with the bamboo pole though. It is very old and worn out too, so I thought it would be wise to pick up a training rod to get a slightly bigger fishing bar. I'd rather have an easier time leveling at first, even at the cost of not being able to catch better fish, and so I earned my first level by lunchtime. To my delight, I got my first treasure chest too, a piece of coal. We're going to be needing lots of this stuff throughout the year. I fished till I ran out of energy, and I really didn't want to eat any of my potential profits, so I made my way to Cindersat Forest to forage for some snacks. I munched a few for some extra energy when I got home and rounded off the day by chopping more wood. I took advantage of the rain by doing some more of that the morning of day 3. You might notice I'm still leaving stumps. I was unaware at this point that stumps no longer spread tree seeds, but to be fair, the energy used versus foraging XP was another reason I'd probably have left them for now anyway. I didn't do this for long though, gotta get back to that fishing. I opted for the ocean here because I wanted to try and brave the bamboo pole for the option of extra cash, but I didn't want to waste my energy on repeatedly failing to catch the catfish. What I wasn't anticipating is how difficult it would be with the littler fishing bar, especially considering the extra fish in these waters than what we would usually have. I've added the Fish of Stardew mod, which adds 24 extra fish for us to catch, along with some other fun stuff we'll see later. As soon as I hit level 2 fishing, I headed into the shop to sell off some of my catches, but clearly we're a long way off that fiberglass rod, so I better keep at it. I left by the early evening, realising I could be boosting my profits by smoking some of the fish. This literally doubles it, and I also wanted to chop down more wood to get some of the main bridges fixed for an easier time getting around. Our first bigger fish sell-off resulted in an extra grand, then on day 4 I could pluck my first carrots from the ground, all of which I'll keep for now. I also won't mention watering crops from now on. I do this every day, it doesn't need mentioning. Back to the beach I went for this day, with my fish smoker this time. Hopefully I'll fish up more coal, but at least now I have the option to use it. What I didn't think about was the fact that Willy only buys raw fish, so I had to bear this in mind whilst trying to save for the fiberglass rod, and shortly after reaching level 3 fishing, I caught enough to afford the upgrade and a few extra bait. Since I can't sell my smoked fish to Willy, I brought everything home, plus I didn't want to spend the extra wood on a second chest I was in desperate need of to store a lot of my fish. Being on the Riverland farm, I can catch a good variety from the comfort of my home anyway, and without a consistent supply of coal, I was being very selective as to which fish qualified for the smoker. I didn't see the point with the lower value ones, especially as we get access to even better fish as time goes on. Completely forgot that I'd actually smoked a bluegill here. We're going to be catching an absurd amount of these, and they're not worth very much at all. I was excited to see the unlock of the crab pots when I slept that night. An option for a bit of fishing without actually fishing will be very welcome when I get the funds or materials for it, and for this day of angling I profited over 1200 gold. If that seems low, that's because I've been saving a good portion of fish. You'll see why later. Clint was on my doorstep on day 5. I promptly asked him to go away, but then I found Marnie right behind him with a new furry friend. Cats love fish, and maybe they might help me bring some more fish. This farm is now also home to Captain the Cat. My parsnips were ready, and there were enough of them here to reach level 1 farming. In the empty space went those seeds we bought on day 1, but instead of more fishing, I took a break today to begin progress in the mines with those parsnips in my pocket for food, since I won't be selling most of them. Despite the luck not being on my side, I found a very handy little glow ring and reached floor 10 that afternoon. The femur here is a perfect replacement for my rusty sword. I called it there for my mining adventure, leaving behind a furnace for later use, then brought my first artifacts to the museum so I could claim the extra gold, and the rest of it that I forgot from the morning. After that, I wanted to turn in for the night, but first I wanted to utilise every last bit of remaining energy, of course by reeling in a few more fish. Here are all the level ups from this productive day. Yep, level 4 fishing in there as well. That farming level was particularly important because it meant I could craft a scarecrow on day 6. I won't be growing all that many crops compared to usual, so every single one is just a little bit more precious. I told Lewis I didn't have time to listen to him complain about this old building he allowed to get so run down, but I still checked the place out for myself real quick. My next stop was Pierre's, not for more seeds, but to buy a bigger backpack to cram more fish into. Then I took my place on the pier to fish the day away and caught enough anchovies to sort the overpopulation problem. That's another thing. For the bulletin board requests, I've added a mod called the Fish Dimension to make it so I can only get fishing ones. This does, however, mean that they appear a little bit less often. I got a letter on day 7 from the wizard summoning me to his abode on this dreary day. I took the long route there through the forest because by this point, the only piece of spring forage I was missing was the dandelion, which I thankfully found along the way. I stepped into that wizard tower, but something was different. The wizard was different. I've also added the Looking for Love mod to make some of the villagers dateable if they otherwise wouldn't be. Along with this comes some younger looking sprite and portrait options. I was so distracted by this that I ended up skipping the cutscene because it suddenly dawned on me that I didn't want all the dateable options this mod has to offer. Making this number of extra NPCs dateable reduces the number of hearts needed for perfection by quite a considerable amount, so obviously I had to fix that. The only extra person I'm interested in dating is Willy. Come on, it's a fishing farm, we have to. And I also changed most of the sprites back to their vanilla version, though I may change my mind later on. I did then browse the travelling cart on my way past, but it was at this moment I decided I wanted to ban buying anything from here. I want to have to get all the items the normal way by myself. The only exception to this rule is of course the rare seed, since I don't have another way to get them. Lewis got a daffodil for his birthday, basically the spare item of forage that isn't needed for the community centre. Speaking of which, that was my next stop, donating everything needed for the spring foraging bundle. I've chosen remix bundles this time, and I was pretty upset here because the brewer's bundle is going to take me quite a while, but looking at the fish tank, the bundles here are looking pretty ordinary. Simple enough. I needed to take a trip to the beach to top up on bait, but when I got to Willy's store, it appeared to be empty, and yet somehow he was still able to sell me stuff. Is he hiding under the counter or something? How strange. This does get fixed, don't worry. I fished at the town river into the late hours, and as a result, I hit level 5. Obviously I picked the fisher profession here, and that's why I've been saving the majority of my fish recently, waiting for that 25% increase. I shipped off a good portion of them on day 8. Some I'm still saving to chuck into the smoker first. Having run out of trees in the part of the farm I could reach, I chopped every single one by the mountain lake, but I still didn't get enough wood to fix another farm bridge. This also gave me some encouragement to plant even just a few of the forage seeds from the community centre to keep working on that foraging level. Not too many though, because that's more watering than I'm willing to do. I can always plant the rest later. I was still desperate for more wood, so I deforested as much of the forest as I could on this day, but rather than taking it back to the farm, I fixed up the bridge at the beach to access the extra forage here. Whilst I haven't fished this stuff up, it has washed up from the sea, and some of these things would have been in crab pots anyway. All that wood chopping got me to level 3 foraging, and selling those saved up fish gained me another 3 grand. Day 9 I bought a variety of goodies to the community centre to get them checked off. Even if they weren't enough to complete any bundles, it still got the extras out of my chest. I did have enough museum donations for some rewards though, a flute block and the cauliflower seeds. I only grabbed the seeds for now. I didn't know till recently that I could just leave the unwanted stuff behind and come back at a later date to claim the extra items, if at all. I took advantage of the decent luck this day and worked on progressing down the mines where I reached floor 20 that evening and collected another glow ring, but instead of pushing on further, I just smelted loads of copper and made a last minute decision to plant those cauliflowers with some extra seeds before bed. On day 10 I got an interesting letter from Willy about his old friend Murphy looking for some extra help on his fishing trawler. He'll be in town every Wednesday and he'll hang out on the east docks during the daytime. I fished on one of the town bridges on my way down to the docks to catch the catfish for the community centre. I greeted Murphy outside his boat and got the lowdown on how things are going to work aboard the Dawn Shard. The fishing trawler mod adds a fun and chaotic minigame for us to have a go at each week, the reward being the fish that the boat catches that day. It's not exactly in tip-top condition though. Nope, it's pretty much falling to pieces, and it's up to little old me to try and hold the thing together. If the nets rip, we start losing fish. You only need to click on the brakes to fix them, but I left my brain cells at home and couldn't figure out picking the correct tile. In the meantime, we had some holes letting in some water below deck. Again, you just click them to fix them, but like I said, brain cells left at home, though I was pretty slow. I've only got a little bucket to empty the water which needs to be done at the top deck. And I need to keep the engine fueled too. I eventually did figure out how to fix the nets, but I was so frazzled amongst the chaos that it wasn't long before we took on so much water that Murphy had to return my incompetent butt back to shore before it sinks. Not that there even was anything in the nets, but if this happens, we do lose the entire catch as Murphy needs to dump it off to save the boat, and our lives. I begged for another chance. I'll have to try again next week it seems. At least I wasn't completely fired. I fished from the safety of the pier instead. These spotted rays, by the way, pretty decent money makers for me at this stage, and since I had the funds, I purchased a single crab pot from Willy, knowing that it may be a while till I get enough iron to make them myself. I left the beach once I caught 2 eels and ran out of energy. One of the eels is for Emily's request, and the other got donated to the nightfish bundle in the community centre, along with a catfish for the river fish. The crab pot I bought got set up at home, the idea being that I can use the catches to complete the community centre bundle to get more as a reward, all for the price of 1. Day 11 was to be a lake fishing day, starting off strong with another level up, and finding some iridium ore in a chest. I actually pulled up a lot of bonus loot this day. At least I think I did, because I paused my recording to deal with some laundry or something, and forgot to start recording again. Not only did we skip the rest of this day, but we have no record for days 12 and 13 either. We're back again sometime into day 14. So yeah, you missed out on my incredible egg hunt victory, as evidenced by my straw hat here. I did leave a note for myself just in case I forgot what happened, which I definitely did forget. So here, I won the egg hunt, forgot the strawberries, and going back to the 12th, I chopped more wood and repaired bridges. And there, you're all caught up. Back to the present, day 14. I opted for some more mines progress. I'm gonna need loads of iron, so it was in my best interest to push on to floor 40. I absolutely won't be using the basic slingshot though. I also got my hands on an ancient seed as well. I won't be growing masses of them, so not quite so important, but I do need one of the fruit for the community centre. Judging by the new crab pots on the farm here on day 15, I must have also completed the crab pot bundle in those forgotten days. But anyway, I harvested this batch of forage and replanted with the remaining half of those seeds. It was then off to the community centre with a backpack full of donations to complete the spring crops bundle in exchange for some speed grow. That opened up the bulletin board, and to my horror, we've got to do the home cooks bundle. Though, to be fair, I will still need to build a barn and a coop to get all the animal products for shipping and ingredients anyway, since I won't be buying them from the travelling cart. The rest of the bundles could have been worse. The boiler room was already open from completing the crab pot, and I didn't have the stuff to fully complete any of the bundles, but I could get them all pretty close. After handing in my pickaxe for upgrade, I made more museum drop-offs so I could collect more free seeds as a reward. It's about time I go fishing again, but before I do, I want to bring Willy a coffee. I was really hoping to catch a few of these black clownfish because Willy was after 3 of them for an aquarium. They seem to be quite rare though, so I only caught 1 of these all day. I got level 7 fishing from my afternoon at the beach, and then on day 16, I dropped some wood off at the community centre before bringing a chub to Demetrius who had a prize ticket for me. My chosen fishing spot for this afternoon was the mountain lake where I caught 26 fish. I also got another ancient seed, but I'm saving this to plant next year. I collected my pickaxe from Clint the next day, then I made haste to Murphy's boat, ready to redeem myself following last week's disastrous trip. I will say, I did turn down a couple of settings, because for some reason it basically had it set for something to break every second. This might be alright in co-op, but I'm handling these tasks solo, so it needs a little bit of adjusting to make it doable. And as you can see, even then it's still pretty chaotic. We managed to make it through the whole excursion in one piece this time with 98 fish. You even get some fishing XP for this too, and even though 98 is a lot of fish, you have no idea which ones they'll be, and they'll all be basic quality. They also don't count towards the fishing collection either, but I did come out with the pufferfish I needed for the community centre, so that is a huge plus. I ended up selling a portion of my fish straight to Willy so I could afford the iridium rod with a top up of bait. I fished enough to fill any empty backpack space, then dropped it all home to do a foraging loop of Cindersap Forest. Looks like I made the right choice, because I completely forgot about the pot of gold that appears on this day, until I just so happened to pass it, and obviously I put the leprechaun hat straight on. The farmy feel of the straw hat just isn't my vibe for this timeline. Pam got a parsnip for her birthday on day 18. Never seen this dialogue before. I guess it makes sense that we also actually have to say happy birthday too for the extra datables. I like it. I mined this day away looking for iron and to progress down the floors. I passed floor 50 for some better boots and made my exit on floor 56 at midnight. Looking at all these ores and stuff, it's been a pretty successful day. I hit level 3 mining and level 2 combat along the way too. Day 19, I rescued a pirate's hat that somehow got stuck in a tree on my farm. This clearly was meant to be mine. I think it brought me luck because this day was a very looty lake fishing day. I got quite a bit of stuff, but I really should have gone to place these crab pots earlier with them taking up a whole backpack slot, though I still fished plenty and moved up to level 8 fishing. I also added 1800 gold to my balance despite only selling off my lower value fish. On day 20, I donated a gold bar I smelted from hanging out near the mines yesterday. This unlocked the vault bundles, but I won't be spending my gold here right now. I took care of Sam's halibut request, always working towards the next prize ticket, then made another handful of donations to the museum and earned a new reward, a starfruit seed, which I might actually need for the dye bundle. It was back to fishing once again, this time with my smoker nearby to process all those pufferfish while I'm still out here. With help from a bubble spot, I entered my fishing day with another 23 fish and quite a bit of treasure, but most importantly, there was a fire quartz in there for the geologist bundle. Thank you for the Omni Geodes. I couldn't turn in for the night without buying Shane a birthday beer, and of course Willy gets a beer too. Those were more than paid for by our fishing efforts today. That's another 6,000 gold. Demetrius greeted me on day 21 to set up the new farm cave. I went with bats this time to avoid having to buy all the fruit saplings, and I'll be able to get mushrooms myself over time anyway. With the cauliflowers finally ready for harvest, I reached level 2 farming. This farming level progress is gonna suck when crops aren't my main focus. It didn't help that I forgot the strawberries last week either. I hadn't even claimed the prize ticket for a while because these rewards here are all farming related. The mystery boxes will give me the motivation though. I planted those carrot seeds in the freed up spaces, then restocked my bait at Willy's shop so I could fish some more by the beach with my smokers by my side again. I also fished up the Jewels of the Sea book, which I read immediately for a chance to get fish roe in fishing treasure chests. I'll take bonus loot in any capacity. I left towards the evening to let Demetrius know I'd handled the out of control anchovies again, then returned to the farm to craft a bait maker and finally destroy the tree stumps now that I found out they're useless to keep around. I needed a bit of wood to craft a recycling machine anyway, so now I can begin processing the trash into profitable materials. Along with some of the fish I sold, I tickled quite a few things off the- Along with some of the fish I sold, I ticked quite a few things off the shopping list and gained another 4.5 grand. Day 22 I picked the remaining forage that grew in, then handed my axe to Clint to make it suitable to chop hardwood, a key material to make the fish smokers using the recipe I then bought from Willy. I fished right outside till I hit level 9, then sorted through my stockpile of fish at home. I sold off a portion to get the money back from this day's spending, though this really just paid for most of the axe upgrade. I took a rainy walk down to the beach on day 23 with a few black clownfish bait. I was hoping this would help with Willy's quest because they seem to be a pretty rare fish, but I didn't realise till I got there that this is a sunny weather fish, so I can't work on that today. I can't remember why, but I bought some oil from Pierre, and you might notice for this day that I have a new mod installed. This is the Fishing Info Overlays mod, and at some point soon I will be changing the settings for this to only work with the sonar bobber because I feel like just having this info for that bobber makes a lot of sense. Being a rainy day in the last week of the season, I ran back to Willy to pick up some trout soup. I think the oil from Pierre I must have bought to make hash browns for the dish of the sea, but I didn't have the potatoes I needed. The extra level from the trout soup means I'm now able to attempt catching the legend, though I was skeptical as to whether I'd truly be able to do this, since I'd usually only manage when I'm actually level 10 fishing, and then adding seafoam pudding for an extra 4 levels. It took several hours to even hook the thing, but it seems that all that angling practice had really paid off because I reeled it in on my first try. As exciting as this was, all I could think about was the ruby I fished up that evening, because this was the last piece needed for the treasure hunter bundle, the final item to complete the boiler room. The minecarts are just such a huge time saver, which means more time for fishing. It was carrots galore on day 24. Well, it's only 12, but it was still most of the crops that were ready in this very modest veggie garden, and I had 6 more carrot seeds to go in their place. It was the flower dance this day where I bought the tub of flower recipe, but I couldn't afford the rarecrow, so hopefully I'll remember next year. I talked to all the villagers, then asked Willy if he'd like to dance with me.
No, Skipper. This body is for fishing, not for dancing.
Well, guess it's time for the tradition of having to awkwardly watch, alone, in silence. Day 25 I was down in the mines, not only to get through more of the floors, but because I'd run out of coal for smelting, and smoking. I passed floor 60, finding a crystal dagger in the chest, which isn't exactly an improvement to the femur, and then on floor 70, I just had the usual master slingshot, which I will actually need for later. The femur was starting to feel a bit weak in these later floors, so I checked the Adventurers Guild to find that I couldn't actually afford any of the weapons that would have been enough extra power to have been worth it, so I'll have to carry on struggling through for now. Day 26 I just hung out on the farm for the morning to catch fish and smoke them, but then remembered I should probably check the request board if I want to work towards more tickets. Pierre was after a bream, and I wanted to see him anyway since it is his birthday, so I brought him a carrot along with that bream for a boost in friendship, and of course a prize ticket. I don't particularly need this orange sapling, but it's a step closer to the mystery boxes, and the star drop tea will be handy too. My axe was also ready to free from Clint's, and I put it straight to work chopping the hardwood stumps on the farm whilst just generally tidying it up while I was at it. Once I was satisfied with my cleanup efforts, I rewarded myself with some fishing for the evening to utilise the leftover energy, but at this point I've been saving my smoked fish for later, because once I reach level 10 fishing, their value will increase even more. That prize ticket today was my second one, so it's time for Mr. Key to commit mass fly tipping, dumping boxes for us to find all over the valley. Kinda rude of him, but I'm just excited for all the freebies we're about to get. On day 27, the little veggie garden pushed us into level 3 farming. Then after a quick museum drop off from the fishing loot, I ran down to the beach ready for some more fishing and dug up a prismarine ring along the way. This is supposed to give a little fishing buff, but it's quite buggy and it doesn't always work. I didn't know that it was buggy yet though, so I will just be keeping it on. And to be honest, I forget I even have it most of the time. I put that clownfish bait to use, but I only had 5 of them, 4 of which didn't hook that fish, and the one time it did, I lost it. So basically I wasted a perfectly good clownfish. I'm just gonna have to wait until I can catch more naturally, I think, but that won't be for quite some time. I had a quick break to pop by the saloon with Emily's birthday gift, and to pick up a fresh cup of coffee for Willy, but amongst the day's fish, I did manage to at least come away with one replacement black clownfish. I also got level 5 foraging from the beach forage I grabbed, so I chose Forester, knowing that I'm going to need a bunch of wood for things like crab pots. On day 28, I fished at the lake for a change. It's a good thing I've got this chest here. I'm pretty much desperate for that next backpack upgrade now. I've not been making much money recently because I've started saving my fish for level 10, but I have been selling off small amounts just to give me more income than none. I began this new season by planting some of the seeds I'd stocked up, including trying to take advantage of the free mixed seeds so I don't have to buy as many for the community centre. That was the original plan, but then I realised I'll still need some crops for the ingredients, and I really need to push on with the farming level if I want any hope of getting myself into the Mastery Cave this year, so I did pick up quite the variety at Pierre's. What I cannot tell you though, is why I haven't yet made a single sprinkler. I've got to water these every day. Why did I do this to myself? That being said, I walked away from the farm this day forgetting to water any of them at all. I was too busy thinking about my day ahead in the mines. I reached level 4 in that skill, and I got to floor 80 where I got a well overdue weapon upgrade of the Templar's blade. I fished in the town river for day 30. I was aware I'd not really spent much time with these waters. I just find the fish over here kind of boring, especially since I can catch most of these at home, but I did really need to catch the rainbow trout here as part of the collection, but also Alex was requesting one. His reward paid for most of an ice cream that I bought from him shortly after, but before running that to the community centre, I wanted to try catching a few more new fish from Cindersap Forest. I had to leave because my backpack kept getting full, the perfect time to drop off a couple of items to the Junimos. I then resumed fishing on the farm this time, to be close to my storage, right until I hit my goal of level 10 fishing. I wasn't even shook by the earthquake because I was too busy dreaming of the future riches thanks to choosing the angler profession. That meant I was ready to pull all my smoked fish, including the legend, and throw them all into the shipping bin. Now we should be getting somewhere. I chopped enough farm wood to fix one of the south bridges to allow me access to Cindersap Forest, then got a bunch of forageables donated to the crafts room thanks to the bats in the farm cave. I also had the remaining materials to complete the construction bundle, rewarding me with a charcoal kiln. I then brought a pomegranate to the enchanter's bundle and spent most of my gold on the smallest vault bundle, knowing I'd be earning more money overnight anyway. I'm not too bothered about these chocolate cakes, I suppose they'll make good gifts. With a little energy left, I fished on the farm for the evening, and from all those saved up smoked fish, we made over 40,000 gold that night. I popped out for some wood on day 32 and found a grape nearby. This will be the last thing I need for the summer foraging bundle. My first major spend from those profits went on maxing out my backpack, a huge relief. The lack of space was becoming a right pain, and now I can carry even more fish, and loot. I then reeled up a sunfish from the town river to hand over to Jodie for her request. My next stop was Willy's to shop for some supplies, and I decided to buy the rainbow trout bait today in prep for the trout derby later this season, but of course I was mainly here for more regular bait. I headed out to the east pier to aim for the crimson fish today, and it was at this point I realised I'd forgot about the fishing trawler for the past couple of weeks. Well, one of those was the flower dance, but I don't have any excuse for yesterday. I'm going to stay in this spot for the rest of the day, but it wasn't too long before I got my hands on that crimson fish, along with a few other new catches for the season. That's the backpack cost pretty much covered that night. Then on day 33, I asked Robin to build the first of many fish ponds so I can start multiplying fish and collecting more roe. With gold bars being the next resource I was short on, I felt the need to mine for the rest of this day, reaching a new depth of floor 95 by nighttime. I opened all of my geodes on day 34 for quite a big progress burst in the museum. 18 more donations earn me loads of new rewards, but I'll only be taking the seeds and the rare crow. I allowed myself to sell off the spare minerals and artifacts because a good portion of the geodes I've accumulated from fishing, and it's not like I'm focusing on gaining enough geodes from the mines for it to make that much difference to my bank balance anyway. I fished at the town river for most of the day, but moved on to the beach for a while hoping for some more super cucumbers. On day 35, I gave Willy a spare copy of Jaws of the Sea that I fished up, then took my place on the pier for the morning. I caught the fish I needed to complete the ocean fish bundle by lunchtime, but it seems I left my tuna at home. I will go get it, but first I completed a couple more vault bundles, leaving just the 10 grand one to go. In that crystallarium went a jade. Even though I won't be going to Skull Caverns quite as much as a normal playthrough, I will still need to go sometimes to take out the monsters and get crafting materials. It was then back to the community centre with that tuna to complete the ocean bundle so I could claim those 5 beach totems, which I'll certainly make good use of. I also completed the summer foraging bundle, but that's whatever. Then I rounded off the day by adding a black clownfish to the pond to breed them for Willy's quest, and then it was just some farm fishing. The next few summer crops were harvestable the following morning. I've now started accumulating quite a bit for the community centre, but I'll be donating these another time. Gus got a diamond for his birthday on my way down to Willy's shop to sell off some of the excess crab pot fish. I didn't want to wait another single day to buy the last vault bundle, so the bus can be repaired. From there, it was up to the mountain lake because I've somehow been a whole week in summer without having caught a sturgeon, and so today, I didn't catch it either. There'll always be other days. The Junimos worked their magic on the bus overnight, then on day 37, I got around to making my first worm bin. I forgot I left it this long, but I think I wanted a decent supply of gold bars first. Speaking of forgetting, I can't remember when I handed in my pickaxe to Clint either, but it's ready for me now, so there's that. My fishing spot for this day wasn't too far from there because I needed to catch 5 sunfish. Who would I be to turn down a challenge from Willy of all people, especially when he's offering a prize ticket? These mixed flower seeds should mean I don't actually have to buy any of them for next season, but more exciting prizes are on the horizon. Not much else to report for this day really, besides catching the ghostfish and the stonefish from floor 20 of the mines. My summer flowers had bloomed on day 38, the last ones needed to complete the garden bundle. That sprinkler? A very welcome sight. Less watering means more fishing. I made a brief visit tomorrow to give a birthday gift of a cauliflower before heading down to Murphy's boat, raring to go for my first trawler trip in a few weeks. Even though I'm still sort of struggling, I was beginning to find my flow a little more this time, and we successfully made it back to shore with 89 fish. And an ancient flag? What is that? I showed it to Murphy, who was able to identify it for me. This is one of several flags that used to be flown by pirates and sailors of the past, and apparently they come with some special effects. There are multiple flags to find, and I can ask Murphy to add them to the Dawn chart if I want. This one in particular is the Mermaid's Blessing, which has a 10% chance of consuming a fish in exchange for some other fun loot. Perfect for me! I'll have to remember to bring this next week. I took my first trip to the desert to pick up the forage there and introduce myself to Sandy, then returned to the farm to ship off most of the big fishing haul and add some more storage with my chest now getting full. Almost another 10 grand rolled in from the fish sold today, not bad. Day 39 began with a farm cave clear out, followed by a day out at the beach for the luau. I made my presence known to everyone, then dropped in a gold star super cucumber to the pot. Yes, I did get close to accidentally adding a sweet pea. The super cucumber soup was so good that the governor literally jumped for joy. A man with great taste. I made my way further into the mines for day 40, and passed floor 100 for my first star drop. Now what does the taste of this one remind me of? Not fishing? The loathing of fishing clearly still somewhere deep down within me. I could have done without the infested floor 103, but it was worth pushing through that pain for an extra weapon upgrade in a crate a little later. It was a steel falcon with some extra crit power, and I made it to floor 110 to get a worse steel falcon. It doesn't have the extra crit power. Great. Anyway, even more annoying, I had to leave on floor 117 because I really didn't want to lose another grand passing out down here, but at least I now know I'm near the bottom of the mines. It's just painful having access to the desert and still being locked out of Skull Caverns, even if I can't make as much use of it for the fishing life. There were a few crops to harvest on a rainy day 41, some of which are needed for the community centre. I grabbed a soaking wet sweet pea from the ground to give to Alex for his birthday. Hopefully he appreciates the bonus hydration. I then commissioned a second fish pond from Robin, before fishing in the desert's pond for the sandfish and the scorpion carp. I only need the sandfish for the community centre, but it's nice to tick them both off the list. I wasn't done fishing yet though. I moved over to the pier where I hung out into the nighttime. The most important of day 42's crops were the melons, even if one did get zapped by lightning, but they did also give me another farming level. That's not the only reason I was happy to harvest them though. I brought one to the community centre and finalised the summer crops bundle for a very much needed quality sprinkler, which I wasted no time in adding to the farm. I spent some money and metal on an axe upgrade from Clint, then got Pam to drive me to the desert to make my first trades, mainly for the handful of staircases since it's a Sunday. Sandy got a visit with a gift whilst I was there, because I also wanted to grab a few last minute starfruit seeds, and I mean a few, literally 3. Back in the valley, I fished at the mountain lake and finally caught a sturgeon, only leaving the area once they'd gone to sleep for the day to add one to the community centre. I claimed my dress spinner and headed to bed, making another few grand. With the next fish pond done building on day 43, I could make it home to a super cucumber. I also picked my first ancient fruit, which allowed me to complete the rare crops bundle that morning, and the reward preserve jar was a very pleasant surprise. Whilst tidying the beach forage, I took advantage of a bubble spot that appeared there for a while, and the first fish I reeled in for the day came with a bonus dinosaur egg. I'll be saving this to incubate in case I don't find another 2 later. I left the beach when the bubble spot vanished, because I really wanted to try for more first catches from Cindersap Forest to add to the collection, but sadly, by the time I wanted to leave that evening, I didn't find anything new. On the bright side, I could come home and begin producing aged fish roe, and I did get quite a few fish, but most of the better ones I'll keep until I have the coal to smoke them all. I added more to those stockpiles even more that night by fishing on the farm, but I did still ship a few cheaper fish and smoked fish that night with a few other bits. Day 44 had the next little crop harvest, then I fished outside Clint's until he opened so I could collect my steel axe. I was more than ready to gain access to the secret woods, because waiting for me in there was a wood skip. Rather than go donate it right away, I hung around Cindersap to remove it of its trees, and hit level 6 foraging out there. I used some of that wood to fix up more farm bridges so I could begin tidying this abandoned island, then took myself up to the train station to clear any wood from the north of the map. My first stop for day 45 was the community centre to donate that wood skip and complete the speciality fish bundle, which rewarded me with some Dish of the Sea. Robin's was next. I needed to ask her for a coop. Whilst I won't be making any money from the animal products, I'm still gonna need eggs for various things like shipping, artisan goods, and cooking. And over time, animals are another way to chip away at the farming XP. I do have the cook's bundle too, so we're gonna need a barn eventually as well. I wanted to give Sam a birthday gift on my way down to see Murphy, but I'm still locked out of his room. Hopefully the cactus fruit will hold up okay during this week's fishing expedition. I brought the flag with me to display on the boat, ready for a chaotic rainy adventure, and this week we headed back to town with a whopping 131 fish. Because of the flag, I didn't actually get this many, as some of the fish were replaced by random loot. Even better. Sam was out of his room by then for me to hand over his birthday gift. Then it was back home for me to sell most of the day's catches, but more importantly, I needed to collect a gold bar to give to Willy as a gift. The rest of this evening was spent in the mine, not only to gather more gold ore to supply Willy with gifts, but also to reach that bottom floor and collect the skull key. Day 46 was this year's green rainy day. Before I do literally anything, I gotta take care of the mess of weeds before they consume the farm, but the real reason this weather is one of my favourite additions to 1.6 is the abundance of fiddlehead ferns via these trees. I know I've upgraded my axe and gotten into the secret woods, but this now means you don't actually have to rush to do this for the community centre. While searching through town for more of those trees, I came across some cookies in the trash. Then I wanted to check in on Willy at the saloon. I was hoping another gold bar might help, but nobody takes gifts today because they're so freaked out by the weather. Now that I know Willy was safe in the saloon, I could bring those fiddleheads to the community centre to complete the wild medicine bundle. Am I going to use these 2 cookout kits? Probably not, but that's another bundle off the list. And that wasn't the only one. Those cookies went into completing the children's bundle. Being just a yearly phenomenon, I took advantage of most of what the valley had to offer during the green rain, mainly the fibre and the moss, because I combed through the forest and cut down every last weed I could find, and came home with over 200 moss. A portion of that moss went into making a few deluxe worm bins the next day. It's about time I upgraded my daily bait supply. Willy could accept his second weekly gift now that the weather had cleared up, then I also bought a bit of extra deluxe bait to keep me going for a while. I used it to fish in the forest, catching another new discovery, the radioactive sunfish. These are a super valuable fish. A pain to catch, but I need more. I caught my first armoured catfish too, then took a quick break to buy an ice cream from Alex because today is Demetrius's birthday and I didn't have any other love gifts at home. Back on the farm, I emptied my super cucumber pond, which exhausted me, but now it's home to the radioactive sunfish, which hopefully will be worth it over time. And it meant that Pam could have one of the super cucumbers for her request. To prevent the overnight energy penalty from the exhaustion, I chopped some trees before bed to increase my foraging level. The coop was finished on day 48, so I immediately called Robin back to work on the farm, on a barn this time. I was planning to fish at the mountain lake for the day, but my first fish of the day was a rainbow trout which came with a golden tag. I'd forgotten about the trout derby. Before heading over to the forest, I handed my pickaxe to Clint for its gold upgrade. Then I took my place just outside the price stand, armed with my bait maker to catch as many golden tags as I could. With a total of 14 tags collected over the course of the day, here are all the prizes I came away with, except for the last 2 tags which I ran out of room for, so I'll save these for tomorrow. My favourite of the day's rewards though had to be the bucket hat. I love a good bucket hat. For day 49, I wanted to know if I could hunt tags on the farm so I would have easy access to my storage to make room before I collect the prizes, but after several tagless catches, I gave up on that idea, ran briefly out to the desert to do the Sunday trades, grabbed a rare seed from the travelling cart in prep for fall, then returned to my fishing spot from yesterday. Fishing with absolute laser focus, I gained another 12 tags by nighttime. I'll skip all the prize sharing now though, it's just more of the same stuff that we got yesterday, but in particular, I enjoyed the free crab pots and free sprinklers. On day 50, I fed some bait to the black clownfish before giving Captain a hat to match with me. I retrieved my gold pickaxe from Clint, then asked him to open all of my geodes and mystery boxes, though other than the museum stuff from the geodes, the loot was quite mediocre. I did earn a couple of new rewards from the museum, but being furniture things, they'll remain with the rest of the unclaimed collection. There are a few extra trees around the valley as a result of the green rain, so I chopped those down, along with all the usual trees of course. Can't have them feeling left out. I wanted that wood for preserves jars, but I forgot they also need stone, so I couldn't make many. Since I need more stone for those, and a bunch of other things, I thought it would be best if I spend the evening in the mines gathering more. Plus I could do with the mining XP from the ores. I didn't level up from that, but I did reach level 5 farming, choosing the rancher profession this time. Not that the worth of these things really matter. Instead of using yesterday's stone or more preserves jars on day 51, I paced at Robin's counter so I could catch her on her way out for the exercise class. I bought a handful more from her, then gave it straight back to her to upgrade my coop. Being the last week of the season, I popped to Sandy's to buy beet seeds ready for fall so I can't forget later. I didn't leave the desert without chopping down all the trees there. Then I bought some wheat seeds from Pierre when I got back to town to hold the sprinkler spots for fall. I got the shock of my life when I went to visit Willy with his next gift. He had a shave and it made him look considerably younger. He accepts hugs now as well. Seems my axe's work wasn't done today either because I chopped wood as the sun was setting, partially for more buildings and machines, but also for the foraging XP. Day 52 was Willy's birthday. I've been giving him a lot of gold recently, so I had to step it up with a diamond for this special occasion and reached 8 hearts. I couldn't stay to celebrate for long though, because it was time for the weekly fishing trip. You know what happens here, so I'll just let you know we caught 134 fish when the time was up, but before I could even lay my eyes on my own catches, Willy caught me and called me over for help. Crabs. An absurd amount of crabs. However the heck this happened, I agreed to help him out, and thankfully Gus got here just in time to lend some assistance too, and take them all with him. I collected this week's fish, much of which got exchanged for oars and bait, but there's still a few decent value fish in here. I stopped in at Marnie's on my way home to bring home my first animals. Being a fishing farm, every new arrival will be getting a fish-themed name, so welcome Guppy the chicken, Tetra the chicken, and Corey the cow. I didn't realise till I got home that both the chickens were brown chickens, so I had to go back to Marnie's to get a white chicken since I need both these type of eggs for shipping, so welcome Better too. I then ducked into the caves for the night to fish for cave jelly and the lava eel, or I tried to catch the lava eel, I didn't manage it tonight. Slippery old bug. I trotted into Pierre's on day 53 to buy a bouquet which I brought straight to Willy. He seemed to take the hint. I can't believe I'm dating a fisherman. Unfortunately, this didn't give me a discount on the sonar bobbers I needed. My fishing location for today was Cindersap Forest. First at the waterfall to take the goby off the list, as well as the dorado that's been evading me all season. I was hoping to catch the rainbow trout for a challenge from Willy, but I only managed 3 of the 4 today. I wanted to try again tomorrow, but full disclosure, I completely forget about this. Whilst putting everything away that night, I was reminded about the dinosaur egg. It's a good thing I got it incubated now that the coop's upgraded. I needed to mine on day 54, so I brought the fish smoker with me to keep the profit production going. I needed a bit of all the main things down here really. The stone, the iron, the coal. Honestly, it was mainly the stone. Now that I'm mining less than my other farms, it felt strange having to actually focus on gathering the stuff. Plus, the mining and combat XP is a general struggle, but I hit level 5 combat today and chose the fighter profession. After harvesting my crops on day 55, I read a letter from Willy inviting me for a fishing trip. It's a date. Before heading down to the pier, I needed to ask Robin to upgrade my barn, and when I did make it down there a short time later, Willy wasn't even here. Have I been stood up? Was I late? I had a feeling I knew where he'd be to ask him, but on my way over, I wanted to get a duck for my coop which I called Cherry. This doesn't sound like a fish name, but I'm thinking cherry shrimp here. Willy was just in his usual Saturday spot as if he'd never even sent the invite. I was a little bewildered, but upon further research, he actually wants to go on a rainy day, so I'll come back to him then. I found my first eggs in the coop, and it was at this point I was happy I had the extra chicken because of the extra farming XP I can get every day from petting them and collecting the eggs. I didn't really leave the farm again for this day after that. I restored another bridge and tackled some more farm cleanup to make the most of the foraging XP here at home. I continued the wood chopping grind into day 56, in the forest this time, but I also picked up my second and final rare seed from the travelling cart in prep for fall. I cleared the secret wood stumps too, but I had to move up to the mountain area that afternoon after the forest ran out of trees. My axe kept me busy till the start of the Moonlight Jellies Festival. I did the usual purchase of seafoam pudding, greeted all the villagers, then hung out on the pier for the show, and to top the season off, I'd hit level 8 foraging from all that deforestation. Despite focusing on fish in this timeline, the first of a new season is still dedicated to crop planting. I actually had way more seeds than sprinkler spots now, and you might have noticed I did indeed forget to plant the wheat which I bought not to have to spend as much of this morning tilling and watering, but I won't let it go to waste here. I needed a few extra seeds from Pierre's which weren't covered by the mixed seeds I planted, and got even more seeds from Clint when I went to open the next few mystery boxes. Not that I'll be planting any corn though. I really didn't want to water this many crops every day, and I didn't want to wait ages for the quality sprinklers at level 6 farming, so I made a few basic ones to at least lessen the load. I gave Willy yet another copy of Jaws of the Sea. Not sure how he's not bored of these yet, then dug up a new fishing ring, which I think is an upgrade to the Prismarine one. These are still buggy, so I won't be doing much with this. I wound down for the night by fishing on the farm. Then on day 58, I got a brand new recipe from Willy, a smoked salmon roll. I still can't cook with my tiny house, but the thought was nice. Penny was very moved by the emerald I got for her birthday, but what really filled me with joy today was seeing that our choice of debut special requests were both fishing related. I always prefer the biome related ones for these. Having caught a few smallmouth bass on the farm last night, I completed a challenge from Willy without forgetting this time. Then I moved on to Demetrius's challenge to catch those river fish. I moved to the bridge north of Jojo halfway through to make sure I get that angler nice and early, but I needed a quick little break in the evening to donate the tiger trout and complete the river fish bundle. A top up on deluxe bait is very handy. I resumed the fishing till I ran out of energy, but I don't think it counts the modded fish because I didn't complete the quest today and I definitely caught more than 20. I smoked the angler on day 59. I can't resist boosting the value of these higher priced fish, and we can't be letting the town know how special and legendary these fish are. I had to repair this top bridge again when I left the farm, because I'm not exactly the best carpenter, so they can kinda collapse. I suppose that's another use for all that wood. I forgot what I was going to do just after I left, so I turned right around. I refocused myself to some ocean fishing instead. Plenty of brand new catches for me down here, one of which really tested my perseverance, but I didn't give up on this crimson snapper, especially once I smoke these, they're worth the pain of catching. I suddenly remembered what day it was and started racing over to Murphy, until I got distracted by a bubble spot, but it was worth it because I caught another new fish, a cookie octopus. I did get on the Chaos boat eventually and brought 129 fish and or loot back to town this time. I dropped it off at home, or in the shipping bin, then I stuck around here to fish and work on Demetrius's quest, which I still did not finish, but at least we made almost 25 grand. I did just enough mining on day 60 to gather the remaining stone needed to ask Robin to upgrade my barn. Being the first rainy day since Willy's letter, his shop was my next stop. I thought I got it wrong again because he still wasn't here. There was a note on his desk. He's sick? Oh yeah, definitely sick. I'll go check on him. Clearly we're not going for that fishing trip today. Not that it matters, I just want him to feel better. Not quite sure about this response though. I'll just put it down to his flu. I brought Evelyn a tiger trout in exchange for a prize ticket, but before claiming the goodies from that, I wanted to finish catching the last few river fish because that meant I could collect another prize ticket. Might as well collect both items at once. That Stardrop tea pushed Willy's friendship to 10 hearts, so I made haste to the Old Mariner for the pendant, only to realise I forgot to upgrade my house. It's too late in the day to ask Robin to start that upgrade, so I might as well fish in the meantime. It was late by the time I left, but I still wanted to get the walleye into the night fishing bundle. The glow ring reward sucked, but what didn't suck is that this was the last bundle to complete the fish tank, and that means the boulder got removed overnight. Some wheat was ready on day 61, and a bok choy as well. Those were replanted with mostly wheat again, then I brought a pomegranate down to the beach for Elliot's birthday gift. Robin was busy working on my barn, so instead of the house upgrade, I bought a goat called Arowana. Then for this lucky afternoon, I just couldn't keep myself away from Skull Caverns. Let's see what I can do with barely any prep and half a day. I definitely don't need as much as usual from Skull Caverns, but I do need more mining experience, as well as combat experience and Monster Slayer progress. I got my first treasure floor on 28, which had some Omni Geodes. There are so many better options it could have been. I didn't end up passing out down here because on floor 39, I broke open this iridium node to find my first prismatic shard. I wasn't going to chance getting killed and losing it, so I exited the caverns around midnight to take it to the spot in the desert that turns it into a galaxy sword. My own weapon was feeling pretty weak in here, so this was a much needed upgrade. After taking care of some farm chores on day 62, I wanted to get Robin back to my farm to upgrade the house, but before I could, I found Willy by the now destroyed boulder. He passed me his spare copper pan, so now I can pan up loot from the waters. He knows me so well. I got that house extension going, then ran down to the beach to see Willy again for that fishing trip. We're going for reals this time. I have no idea where he took me. It feels like we're out in the ocean, but there were freshwater fish everywhere. He said some adorably corny stuff, and given that we're dating and 10 hearts, I thought it would be kind of weird if I said I didn't feel the same way. For a moment there, I thought he was proposing to me. Robin's really got to hurry up with that house upgrade now. I stuck around outside for the afternoon to fish, since we really didn't catch anything on that fishing trip. Any crimson snappers went straight in the smoker. I couldn't tell you why, but I moved to the river for the evening and stepped away for a moment to give Harvey a sea cucumber. Then, on going to sleep that night, we made back most of the house upgrade cost on fish, and a few little shipping items. I gained a farming level with all those beats the next day. Definitely makes up for being awoken by Robin's construction noise. I planted a load of mixed seeds in their place, then made a brief stop at Marnie's to ask for a pig who I named Goldfish. I restocked on staircases at the desert, then asked Clint for his services to open the next round of geodes and mystery boxes. The only thing I note this time really is the mystery wallpaper. It's probably my favourite wallpaper. I made a couple of drop-offs at the community centre, but I still somehow hadn't completed the full foraging bundle because I was still missing a mushroom. I was planning on a foraging loop of the forest, but I ended up finding it pretty quickly, so with that problem solved and the forage seeds collected, the only thing standing in my way of the crafts room restoration are a couple of bits of winter forage now. Now that I'm a level 6 farmer, I thought I might as well till more spots to get this forage planted since I was about to unlock the quality sprinkler recipe. It's just another way to get me more foraging XP, and so on the morning of day 64, I harvested the next crops, and then the sprinkler problem was solved. I didn't want to waste those 3 basic sprinklers, so I moved them to the side. I'll still be using this planting space for now on some more ingredients and such. A new week means new special requests, and once again, I found what I was hoping for, the prismatic jelly quest. This will unlock the monster musk recipe, which will help with things like gathering coal from dust sprites and pushing along with other monster slayer goals, as well as combat experience. I passed Linus's basket back for blackberry season before getting straight to work hunting for that slime. No luck today though, I actually passed out trying. I woke up to a magically extended house on day 65. Strange that Robin needs a couple of days to hammer out the walls, then just does all the work in one single night, but whatever. I took a moment to rearrange things how I like them, then stepped outside to deal with the next little crop harvest. I went back to the mines again, but not for slime this time. I just wanted to sort out my storage since I came straight here from the desert yesterday, but I left some of the desert forage in here because they make great gifts for Linus. I heard a rumour that he's got a special bait recipe, just the thing I need to help out the black clownfish in my pond. A seed purchase from Pierre's was next on my list. I don't need any more bok choys, but these should do well specifically for farming XP, and they only take a few days to grow. Upon checking the coop, I found a baby lizard had hatched, and for this fish-related name, I went with Barb. I got a couple more fishy quests cleared from my journal, one of which getting me my next prize ticket, but I didn't hit the button on the machine just yet because I wanted to grab the crab pots from the beach now that I'd caught all the crab pot fish for the collection. It just makes sense for me to put them on the farm where I know I'll refill them every day. I resumed the slime hunt on day 66 while waiting for Robin to open. It was still in hiding by that point, but I managed to escape from hyper-focusing on that search to ask Robin for a silo so I can stop buying hay from Marnie. Being a Wednesday, I couldn't just dip back into the mines. I have a fishing trip to attend, and this time I wanted to see if an extra speed and luck boost would help from some spicy eel. I can't speak to whether the luck really did anything, but the speed boost stacks with the free coffee boost you get on the boat, so you can whiz around and patch things up a lot quicker. That's 183 fish or loot items in this week's trip, and 68 of them were crimson snappers. An unbelievable haul. I did also buy the mermaid pendant to give to Willy, which he happily accepted. I don't know why he's saying goodbye to his boat. He's still going to be down here most days of the week. The ticket machine had a housewarming gift for the soon-to-be new life as well, a bed for the recently renovated house. Back on the farm, I ended up shipping half my crimson snappers still raw for a quicker cash boost, along with some of the other fish as well, but this is still a lot of fish to process, so I will need the help of a few more smokers. I brought them to the mines with me so they could be working whilst I get back to the slime hunt. Clearly I wasn't planning on success so soon, but the prismatic slime presented itself right after, so I was only in there for mere seconds really. I collected everything up before taking an evening walk to the wizards to hand off the slime, but first I accidentally gifted him one of my precious lumps of coal. I really wish I could have it back, but we did get 5 grand for completing his quest, and soon I'll have the monster musk recipe for easy access to coal anyway. 21 grand we got from the big weekly fishing trip. Then on day 67, I finally remembered to bring my axe to this spot behind the Joja Mart to chop down the stump, because hidden behind this tree here is a gift box. Inside that is another prize ticket. I had another one to collect from the wizard special request, which meant I could walk away from Lewis's with some mushroom logs I forgot to ever set up, and a pomegranate sapling which I don't really need. For Jodie's birthday, I parted with a diamond. Then I took a leisurely stroll around the forest for the day to collect as many blackberries as I could for energy, and for the little nuggets of foraging XP. Whilst I was in the secret woods for hardwood and berries, I fished in the pond here because there's a new seasonal fish. Another absolute pain to catch, but the pumpkin perch is kind of adorable. Day 68 began with some rock collecting because Robin's now done with the silo, so now I need her help with the deluxe coop upgrade. I'm still in need of more stone for other projects, as well as the iron and coal, so this day was for working on those stockpiles in the mines, where I also hit level 8 mining and level 6 combat. Day 69 was the wedding day.
Nice.
But what's not so nice is that lengthy message there telling me a farm bridge has collapsed, so that's fun. Looking at both of our outfits here, I feel like we were going to look like a true fishers couple, but from this day on, Willy will be joining me on the Angler's Haven farm. Speaking of the farm, we came back to lots of bok choy to harvest, mainly all for farming XP at this point. The bridge that collapsed was the one to all my animals, and looking at some of their reactions, they were clearly annoyed about the commotion of the broken bridge. Not at all because I forgot to fill the silo, not at all. I fished out in the forest for a while and made sure Abigail got a birthday amethyst, then ran around the valley chopping down a few trees that had not been long grown. You'll be pleased to know I did go cut down some of the hay for the animals on the farm that evening, then stuck around out there to fish till bedtime. I forgot to replant my crops yesterday, but that's okay because a load of pumpkins and forage were ready on day 70, opening up a whole load more spots. I got a farming level up in there as well. I made use of the bubble spot that appeared on the farm, then made some periwinkle sashimi for some decent food and gifts to keep on me. I had some spending to do today, first to Clint to upgrade my copper pan, then to Pierre to buy a load of pumpkin seeds, again mainly for farming XP, some bok choys too. I was carrying a couple of crops here because today we completed the full crops bundle. That just leaves the brewer's bundle, which will need level 8 farming to unlock the keg to make the stuff, so just one more level to go. Just as I was leaving, I noticed some of the new arrivals to the community centre fish tank. They're mine now. I guess there are some hints of my evil twin Ember in this timeline too. Seems as though I didn't buy quite enough seeds for the farm. I ended up being too short. Not too short, I mean I am too short, but that's another story. Anyway, back to Pierre's I went to pick up some more. This is way more than I need right now, but then they'll be ready for when this lot is done in a few days. Thankfully, the delay didn't make me too late to catch the bus to the desert for the Sunday staircase trade and a quick gift to Sandy. Then, for the last thing to note this day, I chopped the hardwood in the secret woods. This is something I've been doing a fair bit, mainly for the levelling. Gunther showed up at my house the next morning with a rusty old key. Funny that even a museum curator couldn't find its use. Lucky for me, I know exactly where to use this. At least, when I remember to. Jodie was right behind. I promptly kicked her off my farm, but that's okay. My sharpened fisherwoman senses detect that she needs a fish. Probably a largemouth bass. I'll get to it, at some point, but not right now. I have the next lot of crops to pick. See, those extra seeds came in handy. I walked back to the desert for this lucky day, but before diving into Skull Caverns, I had to wait outside Sandy's shop for her to open so that I didn't miss her birthday. It's not like I have piles and piles of bombs and staircases for this caving adventure, but I did get a treasure floor with some artifact troves I need, as well as the odd prizzy or two, but the main thing I got that I was hoping for was my next mining level. Level 9 actually, so I passed out on floor 98 at the end of the night feeling very accomplished. I brought those ores I gathered to the mines on day 72, then gathered up a selection of items to display for the Stardew Fair. Lewis agreed that I brought some real quality with me, because I won first place and took my 1000 tokens to the wheel. I went with my usual strat of keeping my vote on green, with half of what I have, then betting the rest of my balance the time after I lose. This used to be a surefire way to get all the tokens I could possibly need, but for 1.6 this strat doesn't really work anymore and I lost everything, with the wheel landing on orange 2 times in a row. Yeah, I rage quit the fair. My first truffle from goldfish brightened my morning on day 73, then I continued to keep Robin busy with another fish pond this time. This week's Dawnshard fishing journey was another successful one, ending off with 130 fish and ore items, one of which was a brand new flag. Actually though, everything else wasn't really all that great, and this new flag was a gambler's crest. It has a 50% chance of doubling the amount of fish caught, but also a 25% chance of consuming all of them. This is not a gamble I wish to partake in, so I displayed the flag in my house instead because they work as furniture too. To be fair, with a little bit of added farm fishing, we still made over 10 grand this day. I needed more supplies from Pierre on day 74, some rice in addition to the bok choy seeds this time. Then whilst I was at Clint's to collect my steel pan, I got more troves and boxes open. Some decent finds in here. Ooh, a magic rock candy! I had a quick cooking sesh at home to make a fried egg and a maki roll because those were the last pieces needed for the chef's bundle. I got a single pink cake for my reward. Then it was back to Pierre's to buy 100 flour because I was also ready to complete the home cooks bundle. These complete breakfasts are a win. I now have a supply of Alex gifts. By the time I usually get around to cooking these in a save, his friendship is full. It's too many steps to make it as well. The rest of this day was for ocean fishing. I did forget to bring the smokers though. On day 75 I dropped a cookie octopus in my newest fish pond because they sound cool and I want more of them. I asked Marnie for a rabbit since I still need a foot for the Enchanter's bundle, so hopefully Swordtail can help us out. A very unfluffy name for a fluffy bunny. forest grew a few trees back, so today was for the foraging level grind, but the valley ran out of trees just a touch away from level 9. Incredibly frustrating, so planning ahead for more XP, I rushed a tree farm down before bed. I fished on the farm for a while on day 76, then left Willy a gift on my way out of the farm to check for new trees, but it was a wild pug that actually pushed me to level 9 for- Wild pug? What? Wild plum? Wild plum. It was a wild plum that actually pushed me to level 9 foraging. I brought George a tilapia because he was offering a prize ticket, but when I went to use the prize machine, I noticed the lost and found box had all the items from my Grange display I completely forgot to collect at the fair. I was excited to collect my real prize though, the Friendship 101 book, which boosts friendship gain a little, so I read it before even leaving Lewis's house. To get another easy prize ticket, I brought some shiny rocks to Emily for this week's special request, but since Lewis's is now closed, I'll go back for the ticket another time. Besides, seems Linus was waiting for me to show me something. I hated every second of that, but I really needed this bait recipe. Well, I didn't need it, my clownfish did, so that was their breakfast on day 77. I claimed my prize for Emily's rock rejuvenation of some mega bombs. Then I snuck through this hidden path here to break the log and the rock, because back here is a golden trash can with a very special book, the Alleyway Buffet, which increases the chance to find items in the trash. A must read. I don't plan to make many of these, but I gifted Robin one of the few goat's cheeses I'll ever make for her birthday, then grabbed the foraging XP from the secret woods before fishing on the farm for the rest of the day. The sweet gemberries were ready on day 78, and from those and some other crops, I finally got over the threshold for level 8 farming. We can make kegs soon! The good vibes continued in the coop where I found the first duck feather, and then over in the secret woods, I traded one of my sweet gemberries for the next star drop. From there, it was over to the community centre with the duck feather to complete the dye bundle. That got me a seed maker. Then to start work early on this week's special request, I had an evening in the mines with some monster musk, because I needed to gather 100 fresh bug meat for Willy, so of course I'm going to treat this request with the utmost priority. I was rewarded for starting this one early too, getting a prismatic shard from one of the bugs. I didn't want to pass out tonight, so I left the mines with just a couple of bug meat to go, but instead of finishing that off the next day, I just had to get my first kegs made because I have quite a few things I need to begin processing for the brewer's bundle, starting with some mead and some pale ale. I'd also prefer if one of the items could be some tea, so I started sweetening Caroline up so I can gain access to her greenhouse as soon as possible for the free leaves, even if not today. I went in for a second round of monster musk monster slaying that afternoon, first of all for the remaining 14 bug meat, but since that didn't take me long, I moved on to the dust brights instead so that I don't waste the rest of the stinky stuff. Gotta grab all the coal to smoke the fish, and working towards the burglar ring will help with this too. I even got some farming XP down here as well in the form of the Stardew Valley almanac. My first fishy find for day 80 was actually from Lewis's trash. Who throws out a perfectly good midnight carp? Actually, I don't think I've caught one of these yet. I dropped off the 100 bug meat to the barrel outside Willy's shop. Surprised he still paid his own wife, I was just happy to help. Then it was over to Murphy's boat for the Wednesday trawler trip. After running countless laps around the boat, we sailed back in with 126 fish and loot items. Pleased to see lots of super cucumbers and pufferfish today. Those will be great for the smoker, but most of the rest will be shipped raw. The fishing didn't end there, returning to the pier to catch some more fish manually whilst the smokers were working behind me. One of the things I was looking for down there was a sea cucumber for Gus, who had another prize ticket for me, but all of this day's fishing activities resulted in another 25 grand of income that night. The first rabbit's foot appeared in the coop on day 81. What a relief. My next two ticket prizes, I'll be honest, I don't really get much use of, but what I will be able to use are these tea leaves that Caroline so graciously chucked on the floor for me. I'll be having those, thank you very much. Now that I had accumulated a little bit of cash, I thought it was about time to make my first purchases from the bookseller. The first was the Way of the Winter Part 1 for a little speed boost, and the other was a combat quarterly because that skill is very slow going at the best of times, let alone when there's less focus on being in the mines. That being said, I will still need to go to places like Skull Cavern sometimes, so I made sure to trade a few prizzies for a magic rock candy for next time. I wasn't going to leave the desert without taking down all the trees for their foraging experience, and the wood chopping continued back at home where the next lot of trees had popped up, including all the extras we planted with fertilizer. Day 82 and Willy surprised me with a star drop for breakfast. I certainly won't be telling him how it tastes though. I chilled out half of this day and just fished on the farm, before working on the daily foraging grind. It definitely helps to be able to get a little boost with these foraging related books as well, and I do mean little boosts. This last level is proving to be horrendously time consuming. Farming levels are also taking their sweet time, so I added a few more sprinklers to the crop space on my farm. My evening was then another in the mines, but I'll be honest, I can't remember why this time. Day 83 had the last major crop harvest for fall. Income-wise, this doesn't really matter since I can't ship more than one of any of these, which I've already done. But the real value is the farming XP because today I reached level 9. I made a third keg specifically to brew the green tea, then it was back in the mines yet again to push for the burglaring and get through these other skills. Whilst I made a lot of progress, I didn't get any new levels here today before the Spirit Sea Festival began. I bought the jack-o'-lantern recipe and the rarecrow from Pierre, said hi to all the townies, then sniffed out the loot at the end of the maze to have a good love gift in my stores. I also only recently found out that there's now a shortcut out of the maze, so I made use of the temporary minecart. I love this new addition. Given all the mining time we've had recently, I was surprised to need more stone on day 84, but I wanted to grab enough to ask Robin for the next fish pond. The next batch of keg products were ready to go, so I was able to complete the brewer's bundle. This extra keg is kinda redundant now, but I didn't care because we've now officially finished restoring the pantry. Clint opened my boxes and geodes for me, one of which had some powder melon seeds for tomorrow, but I also got a few museum pieces to add to the collection. You might not be expecting what I did next. I sat at home for ages turning my hops back into hop starters. With the greenhouse to be functional tomorrow, that'll provide more opportunities for that precious farming XP, and hopefully soon we'll be able to meet the raccoon too since it's gonna need to find a new home. My first order of business for this chilly season was to set up the refurbished greenhouse. I struggled through trying to organise a layout for these trellis crops, and they all got some sort of speed grow so I could start getting daily farming XP here as soon as possible. I also got a few powder melons planted, then collected a few more gold bars in the mines to make another 3 sprinklers for the greenhouse, and to make use of some of the extra spots between the rows of hops, I planted my leftover seeds from fall. On my way down to check on the animals for the day, I dug up an extra jack book, and the extra combat XP I got progressed me to level 8, which was a nice surprise. On the lookout for some winter forage, I found some footsteps to a bush where a shadow person was hiding. They handed me a magnifying glass, so now I can find secret notes. I picked up a crocus nearby, found a crystal fruit near Linus's tent, dug up a snow yam near the train station, and grabbed some holly from the secret woods, so now I have all the winter forage since I already have the winter root from the mines. Before going to donate it all the next day, I found a note from Willy in the mail asking for a squid. Don't know why he had to ask me a writing, but I handed one over first thing that morning, and it seems he's grown his beard back to keep himself warm for winter. With a quick drop off to the community centre, I've now completed the winter foraging bundle. The reward seeds will be great for XP, but more importantly, that's another entire room ticked off the list. I needed to pop to Willy's shop for some supplies, but I found him taking a little break with all that nasty bug meat I gathered for him. I asked what he did to make such special bait, but instead, he wanted to let me know a little family secret. Not our marriage gaining his trust for this. No, it was the bug meat. Either way, the quality bubble will be great, if I ever remember to use it. Right now though, I'm mostly interested in the sonar bobber. That way I can know that my first lingcod was on the end of the line. With my fish variety growing, I made my first big chest to upgrade one of my current ones. I love how easy it is to switch these out. My first bottle of wine was ready on day 87. This is some very important wine, because this was for completing the Enchanter's bundle, the final bundle to finish the entire community centre, all through the power of fishing.
Ugh.
The gifts to the Junimos were done, but I still needed to give one to Linus for his birthday, then home I went as a shortcut to the forest for a little fishing sesh. I had a glacier fish to catch, or to feed and let go apparently. I had a little breather to take care of the animal chores, then returned to that fishing spot with a dish of the sea and some trap bobbers to increase my chances. A couple of casts later and the glacier fish was in my hands. Then, with that taken care of, I was ready to go for my first winter fishing day with Murphy, except he wasn't there. I guess it's because the sun sets earlier in winter, so I was probably just about too late. My afternoon plans were ruined, so I just stuck by the ocean to fish there for the rest of the day. Not unhappy with the amount of money made today still, and a lot of it was down to the smoked glacier fish. I wanted to get my pickaxe upgraded on day 88, but when I got the minecart to town, I was pulled into a celebration going on at the community centre. The place was buzzing with activity, and I got a trophy for putting in all the work to restore this place. But let's be honest, we're all here to see Morris off for the first flight out of Pelican Town. I was overjoyed that I actually managed to complete the community centre this year, but it was a bit of a pain that I now had to walk to Clint's, given that I originally took the minecart. I got that upgrade organised before a trip to the forest and the secret woods to keep up the foraging XP progress. Then for the evening, I was hoping to catch a lava eel while smelting some ores, but I couldn't get it to bite tonight. I woke up to a mailbox stuffed full of cooking recipes, a good sign of a friendship boost. The greenhouse bok choys were ready to go, and with some recently acquired metal bars, I can make a few more sprinklers for later. I wanted to pop to the desert for some artifact troves and caverning supplies, and with the thought of some future foraging XP, I wanted to plant over 150 pine cones since the trees will still grow out here in winter. That was the plan until I remembered that the bookseller is in town today, and I wanted to see what he brought this time. With farming XP being more of a struggle on this farm, I wasn't going to turn down a chance for even a sprinkle of assistance from this book. I ended up spending a desert totem to get back over there and finish the tree planting. Surprisingly got them all done in time too. I did laps outside Clint's waiting for him to open the next day. I needed my pickaxe back because this good luck day will be spent in Skull Caverns. I wasn't rushing down the floors in the way that I usually would, taking time to slay any monsters I passed, if it was safe to do so, though that did change a little when I came across this secret note on floor 19, letting me know that someone was waiting for me down on floor 100. I found some free bok choy seeds along the way, and I even hit level 10 mining, then made it to Mr. Key that night, surrounded by snakes. I don't know what came over me, but I agreed to drink the snake milk here. Thankfully this was a good thing, because this health boost should come in handy for the rest of this combat XP I'll be needing. I continued down the floors on a monster hunt, ending my night on floor 135. No new combat levels today, but I got to pick my last mining profession. This is a temporary choice for now. These weren't the options I was expecting to see. I must have misclicked at level 5 and not noticed I made the wrong choice, or I forgot. On day 91, I planted those treasure bok choy seeds in the greenhouse. Then I brought Caroline a spangle I saved from summer for her birthday. I got Clint to open those artifact troves and a couple of mystery boxes for me. Pleased to see a good few new museum donations in there, but the only rewards I'll be claiming are the triple shot espressos and the rare crow. I was out for an afternoon of cave fishing where I needed a good few attempts to catch myself an ice pip, and I did try again for that lava eel, but it continued to remain hidden. I suddenly remembered something before bed that night, the rusty key. It only took me 20 days since I got it. I know, that's far too long to meet Krobus really, but I met his acquaintance with a purchase of a star drop. I did also reset my mining profession, this time picking miner, then prospector. Anything to get my hands on more coal to smoke the fish. Day 92 began with a powder melon harvest, all of which got turned back into seeds, but before I could finish getting my next crop ready, I had to make a run for the Festival of Ice. Obviously, I had to go trash talk my own husband before the big competition. I made sure to grab the rare crow from the igloo, then took my place for the fish off. A couple of minutes later, I reeled in 6 fish. Plenty to be taking home the prizes, and it looks like Willy just wanted to pretend that his loss for the day never happened. It wasn't time to rest yet though, gotta get all those powder melons replanted. The first lot of greenhouse hops were ready on day 93. A huge relief, the start of a lot of extra daily farming XP in here. Even more when the rest mature. Most of those hops went straight back into the seed maker to fill up the empty sprinkler spaces, but I did have to hit pause on the seed production to try catch Robin at her desk to build yet another fish pond. I shared a plate of sashimi with her for letting me put in an order on her day off. I then went all the way down to Willy's boat room from there. It's about time he showed me what he's been keeping locked up in here. I mean, it's not exactly what I imagined, but lucky for him, he's married the right fisherwoman, and I just so happened to be carrying the exact materials to get this wreck seaworthy again. I checked out the recently opened quarry after that. Kinda forgot about this with everything else that's been happening. Lots of coal here for the taking, including inside the creepy mines, but what I was mostly here for was the golden scythe, so I can have an extra one for Ginger Island. It took ages for me to sort the rest of the hop starters with my single seed maker, but I did still manage to get them all situated in the greenhouse before the day was up. I wasn't the only one who had a late night, because Willy and Robin stayed up to repair the boat. Then on day 94, I harvest the winter forage grown from the community centre seeds, turning them right back into more seeds, because I really want to push along with that level. I then got everything packed up for Ginger Island, at least as much as I could remember, but before getting on that boat, I had to catch another one with Murphy. I wasn't going to miss another big weekly fishing trip. I left all my island stuff on the pier, can't have anything weighing me down and slowing my ability to patch up this mess, and I'd gotten pretty good at it too, bringing in a new best of 153 fish. There were quite a few crimson snappers, but the rest wasn't overly exciting this time. This'll all have to hang out on the pier for my trip to the island, and after a much more relaxing boat ride, I was out of the snowy valley for a tropical island getaway. I went ahead with my normal routine to get as many initial walnuts as possible, though I completely forgot I didn't need to bring my own tent kit with me because there are some free ones hanging out in the jungle area. I didn't have much trouble seeking out the walnuts north of the island, but it felt a bit slow going because I also forgot to bring any speed boosting food or drink. I still managed to get the west turtle out of the way, and got some initial seeds planted for the frog, even if I was missing the garlic for now, but somehow, late that night, I successfully collected enough walnuts to repair the farmhouse, except I still slept in a tent. Why? I honestly can't tell you. And of all nights, tonight was the night of a very strong windstorm. My tent had vanished, but thankfully I awoke in one piece on day 95 and got straight to chopping hardwood for foraging experience. I got a tiger hat around here along with the slimy walnut. Probably won't ever wear it, but it was cool I got it as a drop. After taking down all the hardwood in the farm area, I paid the parrots to restore the farmhouse here, and I'm kind of embarrassed about this next bit, but it took me most of this day to complete the Simon Says game here. When I was finally free from that cave, I fished out by the farmhouse to catch my first discus, and enough walnuts to repair the bridge to the dig site. I didn't want to wait another second to free Professor Snail, and gain access to the golden walnuts from this little area. I was in the middle of clearing out the dig site when I realised it was getting late. I didn't feel like walking all the way to the farmhouse, only to walk all the way back here in the morning, so I popped up a tent and camped out here for the night, and that meant I could finish the job on day 96. Professor Snail happily took a few fossils off my hands in exchange for a walnut, and I got a couple more for completing the island survey. Then, since it was raining, I went looking for the day's gem bird, a ruby in the west, so I could use this clue to brute force my way through the other pedestals and win another few walnuts. I was getting a little homesick by this point, so I walked back to the valley. It had been a few days, and I had some things to take care of on the farm, but also that windstorm a couple of nights ago means the big old tree in the Cindersap forest got blown over and is ready for me to fix up. Look how cozy! I'm proud of my work here. Who needs Robin anyway? Speaking of Robin, the 5th fish pond was now complete. I like the look of the potential products for the ice pip, so that's what will be living in here. And for my last to-dos before bed, I have a load of things to harvest in the greenhouse for farming XP, and handed over 3 black clownfish from the ponds to Willy. He's been asking for these since the beginning of the year, and that's an extra 2.5 grand. I got straight to the next batch of hops the next morning, then whilst tending to the bus stop forage, I noticed that Pam was having a day off. This sign could be improved. Much better. I checked on the stump house to find a fluffy new resident hungry for fish. It's the raccoon's lucky day. I am a fisherwoman, and I'll be taking the midnight cup with me to smoke whilst I fish on the pier, but when I got to the beach area, I was reminded that today was one of the Squid Fest days. I'd completely forgotten. I was just going to try and do this without the targeted bait, but it wasn't going well, so I popped back home to make some with my stored up squids. That allowed me to blast through all 10 squid catches that evening, the amount I needed to collect all the day's prizes. I read the Art of Crabbing book whilst I was still on the beach to give me a 25% chance to double my crab pot catches. I'll take any boost to how many fish I can get. More fish for me! I found some cookies in the trash which I snacked on my way home. Then I brought the fish to the raccoon so they had some snacks too. I really needed this thank you gift of 25 powder melon seeds. Freebies towards my farming XP grind. I'm so glad we have an actual winter crop now. On day 98 I got some more squid bait ready for my second day of Squidfest, then harvested those spare pumpkins along with the daily hops. I delivered Harvey's birthday coffee on my way down to the beach, where I noticed a slight lack of festivities. It turns out Squidfest was Friday and Saturday, so really I missed the first day. Literally nothing I can do about that now, so I just refilled my crab pots, then spent the entire day in the mines hunting dust sprites for coal, getting well over 100 by the time I passed out. There were some powder melons to harvest on day 99. A portion of these went into the seed makers to replant. Oh yeah, I have 2 now. Double the seed speed. Even with that, it took a lot of the day to get the seeds ready for the field, and by the time I was ready to exit the farm, it was already growing dark. I checked the week's special requests on my way past, and went for Linus's one because cleaning out the waters will definitely make a nicer home for all the wild fish I still want to catch. Then it was time for the night market. I hit the mermaid show first to make sure I don't forget about the pearl here. Then I grabbed my free coffee before heading into the submarine for a night of fishing. I successfully caught all of the exclusive submarine fish within a couple of hours, but I literally didn't stop fishing until I passed out with some last second seaweed. Some of those deep sea fish went straight into the smokers the following morning. I dealt with my usual farm tasks, then cut down some grass to turn into hay for my animals because I didn't realise the silo completely ran empty. It took me till today to remember to meet the wizard by the railroad, but with this magical squid hat, I can read his mind, so I'll make my way into the cave for him at some point to retrieve some magic ink. I also wanted to come and pre-drop off the trash for Linus, so now I just have to catch it to complete the quest. Then it was straight to the beach from there for night 2 of submarine fishing. I wanted to get there pretty much right when it opened. To give me an easier time, I munched on some escargot, shells and plate and everything, and I re-put on one of those special fishing rings because it seems this way the extra fishing buff might actually be working. I came armed with blobfish bait this time, but out of all this bait I only got 5 blobfish, and I was catching way more trash, so I probably won't be using that again down here. I had much better luck after that with my deluxe bait, which again I continued to fish with till I passed out. The next forage seeds had grown on day 101, still working on that darn foraging level which I didn't get today, but it was better news in the greenhouse because there were literally just enough ripe crops to max out the farming level. The hops in here will still be useful later when we unlock masteries. I wanted to go with a bit of a journal clearing mission today, starting with Clint's iron bar, followed by a trip to the mutant bugler in the sewers to collect the dark talisman. That cleared my way into the railroad cave, but inside I found a new obstacle, a goblin. I had the power to conjure up what this henchman desires from the water before his very eyes, a jar of void mayo. Bribe accepted, I followed him into the witch hut. The henchman was nowhere to be found, but I could now get my hands on that magic ink, and made a break for it before I could get caught. The wizard was pleased with my find, but I couldn't stay to chat. I got one more day of submarine fishing to get to, but I arrived at the beach a little early to see if I could squeeze in a boat trip with Murphy. Either he's not here today or it's gotten dark and I'm late. It's probably the latter. Oh well, more submarine time for me. I passed out down here for the third and final time of the year, and the nighttime means it's time to pick my farming profession. Neither of these really mattered to me, but I went with the barmaster. Not entirely sure the reasoning behind my choice though. On day 102, I roped Robin into building yet another fish pond on the farm. I'm gonna give a couple of them their own island over here. I went out for the day in the desert to visit Sandy with a gift, and chop down any trees which had grown, which I was disappointed to find was only a few, but at least one of them had a book containing some extra experience. I used some of that wood to repair a recently crumbled bridge at home, then hung out on the farm to fish for the evening. Interesting choice for me to be standing on one of the bridges though, given that they do periodically collapse, and once I realised this, I moved over to the safety of the little dock here, which has remained standing for the entire year. I was ready for another island trip on day 103. I had a couple of crops ready for the resident frog to inspect, who gave me quite a few walnuts in return. Just the garlic left to go, which I haven't been able to get the seeds for yet. I was mainly here because these were the only trees left standing anywhere to be able to level my foraging with, and using a few of those with a few bits of beach forage, I finally added another level 10 skill to my list. Those walnuts I got earlier meant I could get the beach resort repaired, but more importantly, this gets me through to the Pirates Cove area of the beach where I noticed a brand new dog. There was a note here, from Murphy. He'll be here every Saturday too. Another chance for a weekly chaos fishing trip. I grabbed all the easy walnuts from around here, then zoomed off home to get into that mastery cave, but I was still locked out. I completely forgot how far behind I was on the combat levels. All that excitement, straight down the drain. I thought it might be best if I checked the Adventurers Guild for Monster Slayer goals, so I can work on those whilst racking up combat XP, but then I remembered how many things I've killed recently, and that means I can get into the back room here to collect the Mapping Cave Systems book to get a 50% discount on Marlon's item retrieval service. I don't foresee me needing this very much really, but I wanted to read it for the collection, and before getting out of here, I checked with Gil who had a couple of rewards for me. The burglar ring was a major win considering I didn't even notice when I completed the Dustbreak goal. Might come in handy for all this slaying I'll have to do. Even though it's late, I still headed to Skull Caverns with Monster Musk for some of the best combat XP gain, and before the night was over, I made it a little ways into level 9. For my foraging profession by the way, I went with Lumberjack since I won't be selling any tree syrups, and the wood I'll need to keep up with the falling bridges. It was Evelyn's birthday on day 104. She got a gold star fairy rose from 4. It was then onto the boat to the island from there to get on another boat with Murphy. I'd been missing these thrilling excursions, and our first island tour ended with a haul of 136 fish and loot items. I was surprised not to find any tropical fish in there, but I can't complain at the 38 crimson snappers, a brand new flag, and this new trident. This tool allows you to instantly grab fish from the water, but it says they'll be of low quality. I asked Murphy to identify the new flag, but unfortunately it's just another gambler's crest, so another one I'll hang on the walls at home. I then gave the trident a whirl. My first dip in the water gave me 2 lionfish, and they were gold quality, so I wonder if the low quality was referring to the type of fish instead of the star rating. I'll investigate this more another time though, because right now, I wanted to continue fighting monsters in Skull Caverns. Will I get to level 10 today? I'm certainly gonna try. Yikes. Well, whatever. Not even death can bring me down. Back into the caverns I went to continue working towards that eventual fishing rod upgrade, the real root of my motivation. Whilst I didn't hit level 10 tonight, I did make a considerable chunk of progress. I wanted to carry on for day 105, but I didn't have enough bat wings to make another monster musk, so I had to gather those first. Being a Sunday, I could also grab some extra staircases for any times I might need to make a quick escape from being overrun again. Not that I'll need to worry about that too much, because I reached level 10 combat that evening. I got out of there as quick as I could, and I didn't stop running until I reached the now unlocked Mastery Cave. I looked longingly at the advanced iridium rod. The top of the line tool will be mine soon enough. I noticed the next pond was done when I got home, so I decided to cultivate some blobfish, and then I made some more preserves jars to process all the fish roe we've been stacking up, plus the raccoons need some crystal fruit jelly. For my final profession choice in combat, I went with Brute to have an easier time checking off those monster slayer goals. On day 106, I got back to my greenhouse crops now that the XP in here will count towards something again, even if half the rate. Same with the XP from the secret wood stumps, but I also needed the hardwood for the next house upgrade. I walked straight back to the farm from there where I spent the rest of the day plucking fish from the ocean with the trident. This thing is wild. No need for bait, and no minigame, which definitely saved me quite a bit of real life time more than anything, but it was still very tiring work, and I found myself chomping quite a few of my catches. I thought it was time to make my way home when my backpack was overflowing with fish, and because I got through so many fish with all the smokers, that helped bring in 32 grand that day. On day 107, I plucked the last of the powder melons out of the ground. You'll see that the sprinklers are now getting increasingly bare. I really wanted to be able to fill all of this with fiber seeds, but I forgot to finish the rest of Linus's quest last week, so no fiber plants for me. And I wanted to reorganise a few things around here. Mainly wanted to leave some space for paths, and those paths will help me with easier access to all my shiny new crab pots. I still made it out to Leah with a birthday gift, and for this week's special request, I'm obviously picking Willy's one. No explanation needed. I took a detour back home to chop the hardwood stumps, which went towards adding another deluxe worm bin to the collection. Then I moved my furnaces from the mines area to the farm. It just makes sense since I don't spend as much time up there. On day 108, I brought breakfast to the raccoon and his new wife, who thanked me with a raccoon journal. I read it to get a higher chance of mixed seeds from weeds. Considering I don't sell my crops, freebie seeds from the ground, even just for farming XP, I'll take them all. I got Clint to open all the capsules of loot in their various forms, scoring several new museum donations. Still not interested in any of these rewards though. It was then time for my Wednesday boat trip with Murphy, and this was the first time in a few weeks I actually remembered to bring spicy eel and triple shots to get around the boat super speedy. I did attempt using the trident off the side of the boat to see if I could boost my gains, but I only really got trash, so it's just not worth it at all. All those speed boosts resulted in an incredible score of 147 fish and treasure items in the net. The fish collection, not so great, but we did get a new ancient flag, and by the time I got done loading my loot into my backpack, Murphy had already left town for the night, so I'll have to ask him next week, which is next year. Even if the fish weren't high in value, it at least meant I had a good surplus of cheaper fish to turn into sashimi for food and gifts. Then, for the next step of farm prep for the new year, I got some forage seeds planted, just to keep the sprinkler spots dug and watered. I started my winter star morning trident fishing on the farm. Still fishing, even on a holiday. All the villagers were gathered in town for the big winter star feast, where I said all of my hellos, then barged my way past Sam to hand Vincent his secret gift of some great quality grapes. Shane brought me a gift this year, and it was a pumpkin pie. Maybe just for today, it might be nice to see some food not made from fish. My blobfish needed gifts of its own on day 110, then I took a little walk up to Robin to make some house renovations, but I didn't know that we now had to pay for these. I mean, it does make sense for adding entire rooms and removing walls to have a cost, to be fair. I never even noticed the new options here last time, but if I want to try them, I'll have to clear the way around here. However, I did still spend some money on some crafting recipes. Clint got his birthday gift whilst I was on my way to do some digging at the dig site on the island, as well as a whole lot of fishing with my good old fishing rod for Willy's quest. I guess the trident does too much damage for the fish for him, because getting them this way doesn't count. I eventually moved over to the Pirate's Cove for the stingrays, but I did take a break to play some darts, and win a few golden walnuts, then still made it all the way back home in time for bed. On day 111, I decorated the house with several aquariums I brought from Willy's shop yesterday. I was irritated at first that I couldn't send to the large fish tanks in the room, so I had to switch up my plans a bit. We'll be spending next year filling these up. The actual Stardew Valley aquarium mod isn't ready yet, so I'm gonna make my own at home. I returned to the island this day because Murphy was waiting for our second weekly island boat trip together. I did forget to bring that new flag from the other day for assessment, but it's alright, we got another one today, and this one is called the Parley flag. This one prevents leaks from occurring. Are we going to stick it to the side of the boat or something? But it would mean reducing the reward quality by 25%, so I'm out. I cracked another couple of walnuts out of the mussel rocks, then fished out on the resort beach to catch enough lionfish to complete the rest of the tropical fish quest. I then collected my prize ticket, which I made room for on my way home that night. As I said good morning to Willy on New Year's Eve, he said the loveliest thing. Aww. Had to ruin it with the beer though, didn't he? Have it back. On top of that, he went through the trouble of stuffing a giant fish tank in the mailbox. Why not just put it in the house? Anyway, this day was about decorating a bit to get the farm in order, and asking Robin for yet another fish pond to be ready early into the new year. I remembered right after that I wanted to move some things, and with Robin now preoccupied, I had to use the wizard's podium. The pet bowl was in the way of where I wanted some paths, and I wanted to give a little space between these two fish ponds here. I got all the paths down that I wanted that evening, and since I've accumulated a fair amount of torches from the recycling machines, I plopped quite a few of them down for a bit of lighting on this very dark farm. Satisfied with my work on the farm for today, I could go to sleep after quite the life-changing year. Well, would you look at that? This alternate me, a changed woman. I'm a fisher now! To the Ferngill Republic Anti-Fishing Club, how do you like me now? Don't get too used to it. I mean, you can for now, because I'll be back soon with a second year on the Angler's Haven farm. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed my attempt at embodying the fishing spirit. Thank you so much to my channel members, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!